Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're returning, hit the likes button. And if you're passing through, hit the likes button and the subscribe button. What are you waiting for? So it's been a long time since I've been on here and I thought, let's come on and do some chatting. I found this case today and I wanted to go, come on and do a quick chat about this case. This is the case of a mother that was sentenced to 45 years today in prison. Her name is Katrina Mendoza, and she was sentenced for torturing her 5-year-old child and for unaliving her 5-year-old child. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to go over some of the things of the case before we get into it, and I show some video of it. But this is the case of this mother. The case started back in 2016, and in 2016 CPS had gotten several cases, but before this one CPS worker, I should say, got involved, the child was okay, guys, I am back. I don't know what happened. My internet has been acting funny all day, so I'm not for sure what happened. But anyway, as I was saying, this is a case where it started out in 2016, I believe. As we're finding out, the family members had said ever since Mercedes is the little girl's name. It's Mercedes and Jordan. She had 2 children. And Mercedes, ever since Mercedes was born, they said that the mother, Katrina, did not care for Mercedes. So she kind of made a difference in Mercedes. She kind of favored the little girl, Jordan, but she made a difference in the 2. And so from the day that Mercedes was born, the family said that she made a difference in Mercedes. And so she always would, kind of abuse Mercedes. So Mercedes would always have bruises on her. She kind of starved her. So there was a report made in 2016 of Mercedes having been starved. So there was a report made that she was failure to thrive. And so failure to thrive means that she wasn't getting the proper nutrition and being fed properly. So in 2018, and I'm going to let you all listen to the video, there was a CPS worker that went out, and she went out and made a report. And there were, they go out and they try to work with the parents, and I get it. They want, to make sure that they're doing every way possible to keep the children with their parents. And so she went out and, there were several reports made. There were like 7 or 8 reports made within this time frame between the time that this caseworker went out. So she went out, I believe, in 2018, this one particular supervisor that was on the case, and she wanted to try to make it work. So 7 or 8 times that this caseworker went out, she did everything possible. She, was made to go to drug classes, parenting classes, and, she completed those classes and whatnot. So I'm going to let you hear and play a little bit of this video of what the CPS worker had to say. And, I believe, this is the first time that I really could relate with this CPS worker. It seems like she was really trying to do everything and wanted to do everything possible to help these children, these precious children. Because sometimes I think that, I've done cases before, and it's like, well, because they do have caseworkers that go out to the home and just like, oh, they were fine, whatnot. And it seemed like, from what she was saying, a little bit that I did listen to, that she did try to, help the children and wanted to, help the children. There are some caseworkers that go out and just, really don't. But we're going to hear what this caseworker had to say, about the case when she took over. And the family members, they said that they were trying to get custody of Mercedes before, and the father was trying to get custody or whatnot. And I just, with fathers saying, oh, there was nothing I could do, it's like, there's always something that another parent can do. You can always go and try to get custody of your child. There's a lot that you can do. You can keep trying if you really want it to. And if you really want to get custody of your child, there's always something that you can do. You can keep trying to get custody of your child. So where there's a will, there's a way. So anyway, let's play this video and we will go from there. Okay.
All right. Court is calling 2022 CR
for children.
And who, you said her children, who are her two children?
Mercedes and Jordan Lozoya.
And who was the subject of that, of the two children, who was the suspected child?
Mercedes Lozoya.
And when you investigated that case, did you meet with the girls?
I did.
Did you meet with Katrina?
I did.
How many times can you estimate that you met with them?
Maybe 7, 8 times.
Did you talk to Katrina about how to be a parent?
Yes.
Was that a brief conversation, or was this something at length?
Lengthy conversations several times, different days.
What about classes? Did Katrina have to complete any classes or anything for CPS?
Yes.
And what kind of classes did that
She was, during the 2018 case, she was referred for ongoing services with the department, meaning that she needed to go through parenting, drug treatment, drug assessments, and anything else that the department recommended at that time.
And to your knowledge, did she complete those trainings?
I believe she did.
At any time, were Mercedes and Jordan removed from Katrina's custody?
Yes,
When was that?
back in 2016.
And what was the reason for that?
Mercedes was deemed failure to thrive, and there was physical neglect in the home, and they were not able to care for the children.
And then you said you had the case in 2018, correct?
Correct.
Were there any other cases filed with CPS prior to 2022?
Yes,
How many?
6.
Were you involved in those cases in any capacity?
Yes,
How so?
I was involved in the last case prior to Mercedes passing.
When was the final case that was filed? When was that reported?
It was November 27, 2021.
And what, if anything, happened with that case?
They were referrals that the department would receive. We were attempting to meet with the mother. I think that we met with mom a total of 4 times. Each time we were able to see the children and the mother, and we were trying to come up with some resolution on her case. We set up something that's called a family team meeting to be able to get her support network to see what was going on. There were several concerns during that case in that we needed the family support to be present in order for us to know what to do next with her case.
In any of those meetings, did Katrina ever express that one or both of her girls were getting abused?
No,
In general, what was the behavior of the girls when they were observed?
just happy children, very bonded. Nothing that we could have seen.
Did the name Jose ever come up?
No,
When was the last time that
Okay, I wanted to stop it there because, very important. She said there were no signs at that time that the children, there were any problems. She said that they were happy-go-lucky children and that they seemed, happy. Every time they went out to the home, they seemed happy. They seemed like happy-go-lucky children. And I think a lot of the times that's where, the caseworkers, when you go out to the home, they get confused, or when we see children in the store, they look happy-go-lucky, or when family members see the children, they look happy-go-lucky. And like I said in my story, sometimes, I think that when kids grow up in an abuse situation, that's all they've known. So, it's like, oh, these are my parents. This is what I've known. And this poor little girl, probably that's all she knew. And who knows, if these visits were set up ahead of time, sometimes the parents, oh, here's candy or here's something. And of course, you're going to be happy at that time because you're getting candy or you're getting fed. And that's kind of bait to bait you in because they know that the caseworker is coming. So, of course, at that time, you're going to be happy-go-lucky, and because they know that the caseworker is coming. So they bait you in to give you something to be happy-go-lucky about. So I thought that was very important when she said that they were happy-go-lucky kids. yes, of course they're going to be happy. Of course, if you have an appointment, say the caseworker's coming at 3 o'clock, mom knows the caseworker's coming at 3 o'clock. So she's going to, leading up to that caseworker's visit, bribe the kids. But let's continue.
CPS was able to see the girls.
The last time that CPS saw the children was January 19 of 2022
And where were the girls supposed to be living?
at the Hallmark Beltran's home, the godparents.
I'm sorry, just 1 second. Could you repeat that, please?
Hallmark Beltran's home.
And how is Homer Beltran related to Katrina and the girls?
He is the godparent to Katrina Mendoza.
And so Katrina and the girls were supposed to be living with him.
Correct.
When was you said January 19th, 2022 was the last time that girls were seen. Were there any other dates that were planned at that time?
Yes.
What was that?
It was January 25th of 2022
And why is it that CPS did not see the girls?
because that's when the mother and Mr. Beltran got into an altercation, and the mom left left with the children from that residence.
At that time, did you have any specific concerns about the girls?
Yes.
What were those?
The family members began to speak and said that they had concerns with Katrina and her parenting in the way that she treated her children.
Did you know where she went with the girls?
No,
Did you at any time learn about a boyfriend that Katrina had?
yeah, it was that day that we learned about a boyfriend, and the only name given was Jose.
What attempts, if any, were there to find the girls?
We tried every address that we could possibly try. We tried any phone numbers that we had for Katrina, since she had changed different numbers throughout the case. We tried going to the schools to see if the children would show up at school. We did everything we could possibly do. We have something that's called UTC checklist, which we have to complete in order for us to obtain any CPS records, any records from SAWS, anything from the community that can give us access to other addresses to find the children and the mother.
On January 25th, was there any communication from Katrina?
She had asked to reschedule the family team meeting to February 2nd, 2022.
And what happened on February 2nd?
Nobody showed up.
And what day was it that Mercedes passed?
It was February 7th, 2022.
What passed?
Just briefly, you started investigating Ms. Remus back in 2019, or what you described as neglect and failure to thrive. What would you define that?
Yeah, in 2016, there was an investigation that was deemed that the mother and the father were deemed neglectful for physical neglect of their own children.
What did you discover was the neglect?
Mercedes was failed to thrive, meaning that she wasn't getting enough feedings, and she wasn't being fed, and she wasn't getting enough nutrients on her body, so her body was not thriving.
Okay, was there any, you call
I didn't personally investigate that case. It was reason to believe, meaning guilty of uh, physical abuse.
Was that the handprint case?
Correct.
Okay. And I think the court heard about that during the jury trial.
Okay. And I have to come on to keep, for the copyrights purpose, to do commentary on it. But okay, so they lost, the children were both placed at that time when they were taken out of the custody of the mom. They were placed with the mom's godfather, yes. So on January 25th, and I'm going to kind of speed this up. On January 25th, the godfather and the mom got into an altercation, and the mom took the children, and the caseworker was notified that the mom had taken the children and the family as well. So they got in contact with the caseworker, and that's when the caseworker said they had looked everywhere for the children. And they had an appointment to meet with the mom on February 2nd. And the mom called and canceled and said, can we reschedule? So it was going to be rescheduled. Oh, it's going to be rescheduled for February 2nd. And no one showed up. So this caseworker then went and, looked at old addresses. They went to schools and nowhere to be found. And then they decided, well, the family said, the family was really worried because they were, this, of course, as they should be, that this lady was just not fit because of all of the abuse that she had been doing with these children since day one when they were born, that she just was not fit. And they were afraid for these children to be in her custody. So they were really worried where she was. And of course, they hadn't seen her either. But they did hear that she was with or had a boyfriend named Jose. So this is where Jose comes into the picture. And so Jose comes into the picture, and this guy comes in. And, what I don't understand, and what really gets my goat, is when, first of all, I don't understand how a parent with themselves can cause harm to a child, and then to allow someone else to cause harm to your child is just beyond belief to me. Because to me, and I've said this I don't know how many times, it would be, I would just, yeah. So anyway, let's get back to before I get really out of character here. So we'll go back and finish watching this.
And then moving forward, when was the next investigation?
The one that I was supervising was in 2021, November 27, 2021.
21, what were you investigating?
Physical abuse, concerns of physical abuse. And
okay. And what was that?
We received different concerns with the way that Katrina would parent her children, and concerns that she was leaving bruises on the children.
You discovered some bruises.
There was a bruise found on Mercedes at the beginning of the case. The children were able to explain how that injury was obtained. Um,
And what was the conclusion?
it was non-specific for abuse.
Okay. And then moving forward, the next investigation?
That was the investigation prior to the child death.
Okay. All right. And what were your concerns at that point in time?
We kept receiving concerns from different people with the same allegations, stating that the mother was being abusive to her children,
In what way?
that they would get spankings, marks on their bodies.
Did you see any marks?
No,
But you were investigating these concerns.
correct.
Okay. And then you testified previously about the sequence of events and the scheduling that never took place because Ms. Mendoza never showed up. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And when you say that you were doing everything you could to locate the children and Katrina Mendoza, you said you went to addresses and you went to you made telephone calls. Did you go by Mr. Beltran's house?
Yes,
And is that when you discovered that she wasn't there with the children?
correct. We already had been, we've been talking to him, so he had told us that they had left that day on the 25th.
Right. And there was some kind of disagreement between them that precipitated her leaving.
Correct.
Okay. And you just testified that, in your opinion, when you observed the girls, Mercedes and Jordan, that they appeared to be happy, bonded children. Is that, again, a fair characterization?
That's what it shows in the pictures.
Okay. And was that your personal observation and conclusion?
I didn't personally see them this last time in 2021.
Okay, so you're referring to a report that reflects that they were happy, bonded children.
Correct.
Okay. And so something drastically went wrong towards the very end.
Correct.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Just briefly, would Katrina have had a way to get in touch with CPS during those 2 weeks before Mercedes died?
Yes.
Did the caseworker's number change at all?
No.
Okay.
Nothing further.
I have a question if there are no objections.
No objection.
All right, did she ever complete parenting classes?
In prior cases.
All right, successfully completed it.
Yes.
Now, with regards to the January 19th date, where I think you stated she was living with Homer Beltran,
Correct.
was that a safety plan?
No, we only went to see them to follow up with them.
All right. So, did you ever call the police to help locate the children?
Not after knowing that they had not been found. We had to go through a procedure in order for us to, get help from law enforcement.
So on January 25th, 2022, was the police ever called
I believe that the police was called to Mr. Beltran's home.
to locate the children?
No, due to the altercation that they had.
All right. So did CPS have concerns about the children when Miss Mendoza left Mr. Beltran's home with the children?
Yes.
All right. So when the police show up to Mr. Beltran's home, were you present for that or no?
No.
All right. Did you ever reach out to the police after the incident with Mr. Beltran?
No.
Okay. All right. Any other? And she was never placed during this time period of 2022. She was never placed in family-based services.
No.
All right. Any other questions?
Oh, Your Honor.
All right. The rule has been invoked. What that means, you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state or the defense, and they will let you know if they intend to recall you. Is she excused, or is anybody anticipating recalling her?
She's excused from the state.
All right, thank you. State, call your next witness.
The state calls Emily Lasoya.
All right, if you'll take a seat here, please. Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your
Sorry.
I'm going to fast forward through some of this.
During the 3-week period of time she was with us, Jose. The different processes here in the judicial system, in my opinion, Katrina Mendoza has been,
And we're going to get to,
I also sat through her testimony at trial.
We went forward because he was the one who did the fun tax, who did the most sadistic stuff. Katrina was there. She saw it. She knew about it. She invited the abuse by asking Jose, giving Mercedes to Jose.
let's see.
Because Katrina was, in a 3-week period of time, found herself in a very, God willing, none of us have to be in a situation like that, Your Honor. And she, in a way, she would have had to figure out a way to think herself out of the trap that she found herself in. And we're not offering below average intelligence as any kind of defense, but we'd like the court to consider that in deciding what the appropriate.
This is when they're saying that she is with
On top of
Jose
that,
and
Your Honor,
that he tortured
Dr.
her
Murphy
and
felt
all of
like
this
that
kind of made her.
Katrina did not know that these injuries, at the time they were being inflicted, all the way up until the very end, when Mercedes stopped breathing, that her life was in danger. Now, ordinarily, Your Honor, given the horrible nature of what we've heard at the jury trial and what we can see from the investigation, common sense would be that you would think that these injuries would rise to the level of causing death. If you look at the autopsy, and if you remember the testimony of the medical examiner, there was a big question about the cause of death for quite a long period of time. And so Dr. Murphy felt like that at no time did Katrina feel like the injuries that she did see inflicted and that she omitted to seek help for rose to the level of endangering her life. And so Dr. Murphy found that to be significant. Another
I
significant
think let me back
factor
up a little bit
in-
here. To see what we've missed here.
Didn't show up at the jury trial too much.
Let's see.
These are your 2 granddaughters.
Yes, sir.
And we know that Mercedes has passed away, and we know that Jordan has been placed in the custody of a great-great-great-grandmother. How do you feel about this?
I feel really hurt because I miss her and miss my granddaughters both. I love them both. I took care of them the best that I could. And then I really am brokenhearted from all this.
Did you ever meet Jose Luis?
No, sir, I never did.
Okay, let's see.
And prior to, you remember the period of time when Katrina, about a 2 to 3 week period of time when Katrina went,
the objections.
no objection.
All right, you stated that you offered to take Mercedes. When was this?
I think it was back in, like in January.
Let's see.
If God willing, none of us have to be in a situation like that, Your Honor. And
Okay, I want to get to the point where, let's see. I think this is the one where the judge is. I want to go ahead and get to the part where the judge sentenced.
It was a horrific case, and now 45 years in prison for a mother accused in the 2022 death of her 5-year-old daughter.
Mercedes Lozoya died from what's been called extreme physical abuse at the hands of her mother, Katrina Mendoza, and her mother's boyfriend, Jose Ruiz. Erica Hernandez was there as that sentence was handed down.
I'm going to sentence you to 45 years in the prison.
Katrina Mendoza had very little emotion as Judge Stephanie Boyd sentenced her to 45 years in prison. Mendoza in 2022, along with her then boyfriend Jose Ruiz, were charged with injury to a child in the death of her daughter Mercedes Lozoya. During Ruiz's trial last month, horrific details were revealed of the abuse and torture that Mercedes went through. As a part of her plea deal, Mendoza had to testify against Ruiz. During her sentencing hearing, a Child Protective Services investigator revealed that Mendoza had around 8 cases that had been filed against her since 2016. After January 19, 2022, CPS says they lost track of Mendoza and were never able to locate her.
We did everything we could possibly do.
The judge even questioned why CPS didn't request assistance from SAPD to locate her, and the response was because they had to follow certain procedures first. As for the defense, they pleaded with the judge for a lesser sentence, saying Mendoza at the time was abused by Ruiz herself and that she was taking responsibility.
I think she's an appropriate candidate for community supervision.
But that wasn't enough, and Judge Boyd still handed down the maximum. After Mendoza was sentenced, a victim impact statement was read to Mendoza by Mercedes' great-grandmother, who read statements from Mercedes' older sister about how this had affected her.
Grandma, I don't understand why we didn't leave Jose. Grandma, I am so afraid that my mom will come one day and take me back to Jose's house. So I hope that, yes, I hope that God has mercy upon your life.
This is now putting an end to this case. Mendoza will have to serve half of her sentence before she's eligible for parole. At the Kidena Reeves Justice Center, Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12.
Now, let me show you a picture of Jose and see if I can. Now, this is Jose. This is the guy that
of Mercedes Lozoya, Christina.
Yeah, that's right. This is a terrible case of abuse where this little 5-year-old sadly lost her life. Her mother's boyfriend expected to now appear in court. Now, Jose Angel Ruiz is accused of causing the severe injuries in connection to her death. This was back in February of 2022. You may remember little 5-year-old Mercedes Lozoya was taken to Southwest General Hospital unresponsive by her mother, showing signs of severe abuse. Life-saving measures were performed, but sadly, doctors were simply unable to save her. Mercedes' mother, 22-year-old Katrina Mendoza, and her boyfriend, Jose Angel Ruiz, were both arrested. He was charged with injury to a child. Now, Ruiz has a court hearing in the 187th District Court. If found guilty of those injury to a child charges, he faces anywhere between 5 to 99 years in jail.
wow.
We'll, of course, continue to follow this tragic case and let you know what happens. Reporting live, I'm Cristina De Leon, Fox SA.
Thank you.
Christina, before you go, less than a week after more than 50 people were arrested at a
Good morning. Yeah, by all accounts,
Okay. So with him, I don't know what his sentence is just yet. with her, she got 45 years. And what they said is when this little girl was dropped off, or taken, not dropped off, taken to the ER, her body was swollen and just covered in bruises, where this guy and her mom had just, I guess, tortured her and abused her and like a rag doll. This beautiful little 5-year-old little girl. So her mom got everything that she deserved. And, this bullshit, excuse me, about her mom being scared for her life and all of that, with all of the family statements that I heard, and you guys can, please go back and watch the full trial. There were family members that she could have reached out to. Her dad, there was her Mercedes dad, the sister-in-law. She could have, they were all there for her, and they visited these children, and they were there and wanted to help these children tremendously. And she could have reached out to them and asked for help for herself, for those children. So there's no excuse for her to say that she was so afraid and she couldn't leave and she couldn't do this. No excuse. I'm sorry. She could have reached out to someone to get away from this guy if she was that afraid. So I don't want to hear the bullshit story. Excuse my language. It is not okay. You had every opportunity, Katrina, to get help in some sort of way. If you wanted to stay there, fine. Get your children out of there. They didn't deserve to be there, to be tortured day in and day out. It's no excuse. I am sick and tired of hearing about children being put in these situations where they're continuously being abused by their parents or by foster children. I mean, by foster parents. It does not make any sense. And it keeps happening over and over and over and over and time again. And we just keep making excuses for them. I don't get it. So I hope you all will watch this story and, comment, please comment and let me know what you think about this story. And also I'm going to be doing a recap of Gypsy Rose. I did that story early on. I knew that she was not going to last in her marriage. Please join me and comment on that as well. I will be doing that later on this week. So until next time, please hit the subscribe button, the bells button, and the likes button. Please hit those likes buttons. Get my channel up and running. So up and going. It's already up and running. But thank you all for watching. And until next time, bye. And tune in and watch some of my other videos, guys. Thank you all. So bye.